So I'm sitting in the theater, waiting for the movie to start. The announcements end, the previews end, and then I hear this. And I think to myself, I think I'm gonna like this movie. So I'm gonna jump over here now. I can't believe I just made that pun. I'm sorry. But as you probably guessed, the movie I'm talking about particularly is Ready Player One, directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Tye Sheridan, Olivia Cooke, and Ben Mendelsohn. The film takes place in the future year of 2045, in which the world is a very harsh place that people have chosen to avoid rather than fix. This escape is possible by escaping into this thing called the Oasis, a virtual universe in which you can go wherever you want, do whatever you want, and most importantly, be whatever you want. Wade Watts is a young man living in Columbus, Ohio, which has basically become a slum, with his aunt and her deadbeat boyfriend, and he's a frequent visitor to the Oasis. He considers himself part of a group called Gunters, which is someone looking for a particularly valuable hidden treasure in the Oasis. On his deathbed, the creator of the Oasis, James Halliday, revealed that he's hidden an Easter egg in the Oasis and that whoever finds it will inherit his fortune and total control over the Oasis. Wade is not the only one interested in finding this Easter egg. There's Artemis, a female gunter and blogger who's very well known throughout the Oasis. And then there's Nolan Sorrento, the head of the corporation Innovative Online Industries, or IOI, which is bent on trying to control and monetize the Oasis. Wade soon discovers that he might hold clues on how to find the Easter egg, which leads to a dangerous journey that will forever change his life. As many of you already know, Ready Player One is based on the best-selling book by Ernest Cline, and I will just admit right now, up front, that I have not yet read the book. So while I give this review, keep in mind that I am not somebody who's read the book. So I am looking at the movie just from a filmgoer's perspective. I am not looking at it comparing it to the book. One thing that I have to say up front is that the film has amazing visuals and staggering effects. There are so many sequences that are just an absolute joy to watch. And there's a horror-related sequence in the middle that's related to a particular piece of pop culture that I won't spoil here, but it's absolutely fun and amazing. And because of the Oasis being the idea that you can be and do whatever you want, there are numerous pop culture references throughout the movie. This will be particularly fun for people who consider themselves nerds, like myself, and especially people who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, me on the latter end, being a 90s kid. Because of the really awesome cultural references in the film, it's almost like you're trying to find Easter eggs in a movie about finding Easter eggs, which is pretty cool. Now, everybody went into the film expecting to see a bunch of pop culture references. Now, this was one of the things that I was genuinely worried about when going into the movie. I was thinking, okay, are these pop culture references going to be just a glut of pop culture references that are put in by the filmmakers to mask a really bad story and hollow characters? Or are they going to be inventive and just actually help the story move along? I can gratefully say that for the most part, it falls into the latter category. While it does get bogged down at certain points, the story of this film is very solid, and it's very fun to follow. And also, for the most part, the performances and the characters are very good. I really have to give special mention to Olivia Cooke. I've noticed that she's a very good actress in films before, such as Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, which is a very underrated film that I did not expect to like very much, and I ended up loving that film. And she does a very good job in that film and does a very good job here. She adds a layer of depth to the character of Artemis that I was not expecting. And I also have to say that Ben Mendelsohn does a very good job in the role of Sorrento. He has a lot of fun with his role, and you can see that on screen. Now, one thing I do want to talk about and call out in the film is Tye Sheridan. While he does not do a bad job at acting in the role of Wade Watts, because he is a very good actor, and he has been in very good performances before, and this isn't an exception to that. He's very good here. But at the same time, his character doesn't really give him a lot to do. While his character does grow toward the end of the film as he faces more and more challenges and realizes what the Oasis is all about and what this challenge is actually all about, especially toward the beginning of the film, his character is a bit uninteresting. But considering what this film is actually about and what the plot entails, this really isn't that much of a negative. Wade is a very frequent user of the Oasis. From what we gather in the film, he's been using the Oasis for a vast majority of his life to escape a pretty bad home life. Therefore, Wade lives mostly in a fantasy world. He's never really had the opportunity to grow as a person in the real world, and therefore he's never had any real close relationships with anybody. This is why a lot of things that are really awkward about the character of Wade, especially his very rushed initial relationship with Artemis, aren't really liabilities in this film when they might be considered liabilities in other films. Because with this film, it's really about how it can be bad for you to constantly have to escape from reality and not have to go through everyday challenges that you face in reality. And that's what I feel like one of the messages of the film is, because of this being the main character and growing as a person throughout the film. That even though you can find ways to avoid the perils of real life and the obstacles that you have in real life, ultimately you're going to have to face them. And as you face them, you're going to grow and mature as a person. And even though it's hard to do that, it's good for you to do that. But moving on from that, another thing that I have to call out about this film is the amazing score. Although this is a Spielberg film, this is not a John Williams score, which has surprised me and a lot of other people. Apparently John Williams was too busy doing the score for another film, so Spielberg hired on Alan Silvestri. And boy, does he do a good job here. I know it's early in the year, but I'm hoping that once Oscar season rolls around again, Alan Silvestri gets a nod, because this is honestly a really great score. I'm not gonna lie, I actually sat through the end credits of the film in the theater just to listen to it. It's awesome. In short, this was a very fun film for me, and I definitely do want to watch it again. And little change of topic here, but those of you who have watched my previous videos will know that my oldest sister has some things going on, and we started a GoFundMe for her. For anybody who has contributed to that GoFundMe so far, or even just spread it around, again, thank you very much. And for anybody else who wants to take a look, either donate or spread it around, whatever you want to do, I'll go ahead and put a link to the GoFundMe page in the description of this video. Alright guys, that's the end of my review for Ready Player One, and as always, have a good night.